10 myths about enduro and motocross arm pump and what to do instead. So one of the big problems that I see with arm pump is that there's so many different solutions and so much contradicting information, right? It's like you go and watch one YouTube channel and you got one bit of information, you go chat to your friends, you got another bit of information, chat to a riding coach, you got another bit of information, chat to a nutrition coach, another bit of information. So much conflicting information. There's no like clear cut, this is what you need to do to get rid of arm pump. And so the problem is there's also a lot of misinformation out there. There's things out there that just aren't true. And so what I want to do in this video is I'm going to help you to break down what the two types of arm pump, what arm pump actually is, and then 10 common myths, okay? Common things that I see that come up that aren't really solutions, aren't effective, don't work, or are taken a little bit out of context. So hopefully this video is the last video you need to watch on arm pump, and you should have a good understanding of what it is and what you need to do to prevent it to help you enjoy your racing more. First thing we need to know, there's two types of arm pump, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 arm pump is where you get arm pump at the start of a ride, okay? And it gets better as you keep riding or as you get through the day, okay? The second type of arm pump is type 2 arm pump, which is the opposite. It's where you don't get arm pump or limited arm pump at the start of a race or start of the day, and it gets progressively worse the more and more you ride and the more riding or more racing you do in the day. So type 1 arm pump is reasonably easy to get on top of. Okay, the reason that type 1 arm pump is the worst at the start and gets better as you keep riding is because your muscles warm up as you keep riding. And the warmer you get, the more elastic your muscles are getting, and the more they're able to contract and relax. Okay, when we have a stiff muscle or a cold muscle, it doesn't contract and relax very well. And what that means is you lose a lot of your strength. It'll be like going to the gym and not doing any warm up and getting straight out of the car and trying to squat 100 kilos. Okay, it's not going to work. Don't recommend doing that, by the way. So, how do you warm yourself up for a ride or a race? Multiple things that you can do. You can do some simple stretches to help to get some warmth or some wrist circles. You can do like a whole body warm up where you could do like 10 push-ups, 10 squats. You could bang out a few burpees and get warm. You could go for a bit of a walk, maybe a walk around the track. You could, if you've got an exercise bike there, you can jump on the exercise bike for a bit. If you've got a mountain bike there, go for a bit of a mountain bike ride. The whole goal is you just want warmth in your system. Okay, if we can get your body warm, we can make the muscles elastic. We can make them elastic. They can contract and relax well. If they can contract and relax well, you're going to have the strength there that you need to be able to hang on to the bike. So that's reasonably easy to get on top of. That's why the arm pump disappears as you keep riding, because you're getting warmer. Now, type 2 arm pump, okay, which is probably where most of you are going to struggle, okay, or most of you have the problem with arm pump. This is where it just gets worse and worse and worse the longer you keep riding. It gets to the point where you're like peeling your fingers off the bar, okay? You can't hang on, you're having to slow down, and it's a real pain in the ass and frustrating. And it gets to the point, I guess mentally you have to make a decision, don't you, when you're racing? It's like, I've got arm pump, I can't hang on. Do I keep pushing and risk coming off and having a big crash? Or what probably most of you do, hopefully, is you back it off and you go slow, which is what you don't want to do. So it can be frustrating. Now, before we get into the 10 myths, there's something that you need to know or understand about arm pump and where it actually comes from in the first place. Once you understand that, then you'll see how some of these myths just don't make sense. So when we're riding, okay, I'm not a riding coach, but I've done my fair share of riding schools over the years. Okay, this is a rough attack position. Okay, so ass up off the seat, elbows up. Okay. Now, when we're in that position when we're on the bike, 80% of the work when we're on the bike is done from our feet up to our shoulders. Okay, all of those muscles are working really hard. Our quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, feet, core, upper back, chest, shoulders, okay? 80% of the work's being done there when we're on the bike. And probably about 20% of the work's done through actually your hands and arms and hanging on, okay? And so when I was racing, I'll just sit down so you guys can see. When I was racing, I did quite a few riding schools with Greg Moss, okay, who is Matt and Jake's dad. And I remember I did this week-long camp. I think it went for about 5 days. And I was at it was like a private track, private boot camp. It's one of the best schools that I've done when it comes to riding. Now, there was a demonstration that Greg did, which is still in my mind from when it happened. So there was a kid there that was part of the school. And so what Greg was showing him was how he should be gripping on the bike and what his body should be doing. So what he did is he got this kid's bike, the bike's turned off, and he put the front wheel of the bike in between his legs. Okay, so front wheel of the bike in between his legs, like a push bike going into a bike rack. So he had it here. And he had the kid on the bike, standing up on the bike. Okay, so the bike's turned off, the front wheel's jammed in between his legs here. He's got the handlebars in front of him, and the kid's standing on the bike. Now, the kid's standing on the bike holding onto the bars. Greg says, hey, take your hands off the bars. So the kid's just standing there in the attack position with his arms off the bike, okay, or off the bar. So he can't use his arms to balance. So what Greg does is Greg grabs the handlebars and starts tipping him backwards and forwards, trying to rock this kid off the bike. And so as soon as Greg grabbed the handlebars and tipped him, what happened is the kid fell over. Okay, he fell over and put his leg down and then was trying not to fall on his ass. So what Greg was demonstrating to him is that he's not even using his body to hold him on the bike. Okay, this kid's just relying on his hands and his arms all the time to hold him on there and move. So what Greg did is took him through how to get into the attack position and how he should be gripping and what he should be doing. Did it again. Got the bike in between his legs. Okay, got the kid to stand up with his hands down by his side. Got the handlebars and shook them backwards and forwards. Now this time the kid didn't fall off. He stayed on the bike. He stayed standing up the whole time. Okay, his arms were moving around a little bit, but the kid stayed on the bike. He didn't fall off. So what Greg was demonstrating here was that when the kid's on the bike, 80% of the work, majority, if not more of the work is done through your legs and through your upper body and through these big muscle groups. The arms are doing little to no work. They're just guiding. They're just like a little bit of support, okay, that are there on the bike. But they're by no means doing majority of the work. Majority of the work is being done through the legs and the core and the rest of the body. And that's what Greg demonstrated with that drill, that exercise. So, what that means is that if we've got no load in the arms, how can the arms pump up? Okay, so if we should be riding, gripping with our legs and using our core and doing all of that sort of stuff. This kid can stand on the bike and have balance without having to use his arms. How could someone's arms pump up? So, if we want to get a muscle to pump up, okay, if we want to get a muscle to pump up and get a whole heap of blood flow and feel restricted and feel swollen, then we can go have a look at bodybuilding. Okay, bodybuilders do this intentionally. They intentionally want to get different muscle groups pumping up. How do they do that? What they do is they train a muscle till failure and then keep going. So if I was to do a bicep curl, for example, okay, which is not something I do too much of in my training, but if I'm to do a bicep curl, and let's say I've got a 10 kilo dumbbell, when I first start with that 10 kilo dumbbell, it's probably going to feel quite light. I'm probably going to be smashing through like this, right? Smashing out the reps. Now I might get to about rep 10, rep 15, okay, with a 10 kilo dumbbell, for example. And what starts to happen is my movement starts to slow down. Okay, but at the start I'm moving it like this. Now at rep 15, my muscle's getting a little bit of fatigue. There's a lot of blood flow running to my bicep that my movement starts to slow down. And then as I keep going, I might get to rep 20, rep 25. And now this 10 kilo dumbbell looks like it's about 30 kilos. I'm grinding backwards and forwards. The reps are starting to slow down. Okay, I can see that the muscle's starting to pump up. Maybe I've got a couple of veins that are starting to come up through my bicep. My bicep looks like it's about 20, 30, 40, 50% bigger than what it was at the start. Then I keep pushing past up to 30, rep 35, rep 40. And that's when I'm really grinding. I'm going like this. Oh, you can start to see I'm shaking. The reps are really slowing down. The dumbbell's looking like it's about 50 kilos now rather than 20 or 30. And then it gets to a point where I keep pushing where I just can't go anymore. This muscle is so pumped up and so fatigued and there's so much blood flow happening around there that I just can't go anymore. It's so restricted that I just can't even go. And then I drop the dumbbell and that's it. Okay, and that's how I get a pump in the bicep. Now, when it comes to grip strength and holding onto the bike and getting that pump in the forearm, it's exactly the same thing as any other muscle group in the body. If we want to get these forearms to pump up intentionally, if we intentionally wanted to get arm pump, what we would have to do is use the muscles that use these forearms, which is our grip strength, okay? So if I'm gripping onto something, okay, like let's say a 10 kilo dumbbell again, when I first hold onto a 10 kilo dumbbell, there's little to no pump, okay, here? Or let's say it's a 20 kilo dumbbell, there's little to no pump. But as I continue to hold onto that 20 kilo dumbbell and I keep holding and holding and holding, that 20 kilos is still 20 kilos, but it doesn't feel like 20 kilos. It feels like 30 kilos, 40 kilos, 50 kilos. Because what's happening is these muscles in here are starting to fatigue, blood flow is starting to increase, and my grip strength is starting to disappear. It's getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, like it was with those bicep curls. So that's the same thing with arm pump. That's what causes the arm pump, okay? The thing that causes the arm pump is overuse. It's just extreme fatigue of these muscles. Now, if we take those two things together, if we take what Greg taught me with using your legs and using your body to hold on, your arms should be doing little to no work, and overuse of these muscle groups, we've got to go, okay, what's going on here? How do we put this, how do we put these two things together? So, if I'm riding and I'm in the attack position and my body feels fresh, what happens is I can use my legs and I can use my core and I can use the rest of my body, and I can keep that 80-20 ratio. I can keep my arms nice and light and nice and fresh. The problem comes is as I keep riding and I start to fatigue, I no longer keep that 80-20 ratio. Okay, I no longer keep a lot of the load out of my forearms and keep them fresh and avoid them getting pumped up, because now what happens is my legs aren't doing as much of the work. My core's not doing as much of the work. My upper back's not doing as much of the work. And because they're not doing as much of the work, that means my arms and my hands have to hang on a lot tighter to compensate for that. Okay, so now instead of my arms only having 20% of the load, now they've got 30% because my legs are dead. Okay, now they got 40% because my core's collapsing. Now they got 50% because my upper back's getting sore. Now they got 60% because I'm running out of breath and I'm trying to catch my breath and sit down all the time. So the load on our arms increases the more that we ride, if the rest of our body is continuing to fatigue as we continue to ride as well. So what do we want to do to reduce type 2 arm pump? We want to make sure that we can just keep that 80-20 ratio that we had at the start of the ride. And that's the reason we didn't have arm pump at the start of the ride, because we were fresh, because we were able to keep those ratios. The longer we keep riding for, the more fatigue we accumulate, which means we can't keep those 80-20 ratios. That means our arms and our forearms in our grip are doing a lot more work. And when they're doing a lot more work, it's like the bicep example, right? They're doing more and more and more and more and more. They get more and more pumped up and more fatigued, which means that you have less and less and less grip strength as you continue to ride. So we want to try and avoid that. Ultimately, that's arm pump. You got any questions with this stuff, guys? Because I know it's a little bit deep. Feel free to post up in the comments and I'll come back and check the video and help to explain things in a better way, a different way, or if you've got a question, just put it below. So, some common myths that come up that I've got written down here. One common myth that I see a lot, and I probably see this a lot from riding coaches, is don't hold on as tight. Now that makes sense, okay? If I don't hold on as tight, the muscles aren't going to fatigue as much, and if they're not fatiguing as much, they can't get pumped up. Great, awesome. In theory, that sounds good, but when you're riding, it's very hard to be able to do. Because if I'm holding onto the bike like this and I try and relax, what happens is I'm not having the support on the bike that I need. There's probably a reason that you're holding on for dear life. Okay, there's a reason that you're not you're holding on as tight as what you are. So that one's easier said than done. Okay, and usually what I find is that the reason people hold on very tight is because number one, they're not using their legs and using their arms properly to hold them on the bike. So that's one problem. But number two is fatigue. Okay, like a lot of riders start off in the right positions. They start off gripping their legs. They start off doing what they need to do at the start of the race. And because of fatigue accumulating over the ride, they don't hold that 80-20 ratio. Their arms start to do a lot more of the work. So if you're fatiguing and your arms are trying to do more of the work to compensate, and then you're trying not to hold on, it's probably going to end up in disaster. So that's probably the first myth. It's true but not true when we actually apply it to racing. Second thing that I've got is grip with your legs. You're not gripping with your legs enough, and that's a bit of a myth. It's a myth to a degree because it depends on context. If you are not gripping with your legs at all, and you've never done any riding coaching, or you haven't watched a YouTube video on how to grip with your legs and get in the attack position or whatever it is, you're probably going to get arm pump very, very early in the race, okay, straight away. And so it's easy to say grip with your legs, but often the common cause of not gripping with your legs is fatigue. Okay, it's your legs aren't strong enough, your cardio is not good enough, so you're trying to sit down and rest. Maybe you're not fueling yourself properly nutrition-wise, and that's stopping you from being able to grip with your legs. So it's easy to say, oh, I need to grip with my legs, I need to grip with my legs. A lot of us probably know we need to do that, but when it comes to being fatigued and trying to do that, it's a different story. So we've got to try then work on reducing the fatigue rather than trying to grip with our legs more. Because if we reduce the fatigue, we will naturally grip with our legs more because we've got the energy there and the focus to be able to do it. Third myth is get your forearms stronger. So I see this one a lot. Okay, there's like the little squeezy things that you can use with the spring. Again, the reason the muscles get pumped up is from overuse. Okay, it's because we're gripping on too tight. Okay, and the reason we're gripping on too tight is because we're not maintaining that 80-20 ratio. And we're not maintaining that 80-20 ratio probably because number one, we haven't been taught how to do it, or number two, we've got accumulating fatigue as we're riding, and that's why things are getting worse and worse for us. So if you get your forearms stronger, this can actually make it worse. And the reason that it makes it worse is because if you get your forearms stronger than, say, your shoulders, for example, what's going to happen is your forearms are going to be the muscle that takes over when you're riding, okay, not your shoulder. We want to make sure that we're getting the strongest muscles working. But if you're only training, say, you're training your forearms and trying to get them super strong, what's going to happen is your riding style is going to rely on using your forearms. Whereas if we can get some of the bigger muscle groups stronger, like your shoulders, your upper back, your core, and your legs, if we can get them stronger and doing a lot more of the work, we don't have to have stronger grip. Okay, we don't have to have stronger forearms because again, we're getting the 80-20 ratio. We're getting your body doing the work. That's really what needs to be happening. Okay, is from head to toe. Okay, arms excluded. That should be doing majority of the work on the bike. Not worrying about trying to get these stronger. We're trying to worry about getting the rest of the body doing most of the work on the bike. So that's another myth or something that generally doesn't help riders. Fourth myth is just relax. And I don't know where this advice comes from, just relaxing on the bike, okay? That's easier said than done. How do you just relax, okay? The reason you're over gripping on the bike and not relaxing is because number one, you may be stressed about the race, okay? Number two, maybe you're riding in conditions that you're not comfortable in, so you need to ride in those conditions more to be able to relax. Just saying relax isn't gonna work. I don't really have too much more to say on that one. The reason that you're tense and probably gripping on too tight is because, again, you're not holding that 80-20 ratio. It could be to do with stress. More than likely, you're not holding that 80-20 ratio. You start holding that ratio at the start, which is why you don't have any arm pump. And then the longer you ride, that ratio starts to get out of balance, and that's why you start to have problems. So saying to someone relax at the end of a 30-minute motocross race or 20-minute motocross race or, a 3-hour enduro, it's not the best advice. Because if you're experiencing fatigue and you're holding on for dear life, it's because you feel like you're going to crash and come off. Just saying relax isn't gonna fix it. What are we up to? Number 5, fifth thing, stretch your arms before riding. This one can be effective for type 1 arm pump, which I've already talked about. But for type 2 arm pump, just stretching your forearms, again, it's not gonna be night and day difference. Okay, it's not going to get rid of arm pump long term. And the reason that it's not going to do that, again, is because the way that we want to work on getting rid of our arm pump is it's reducing the load through our forearms. We're not trying to make our forearms stronger. We're not trying to make them more flexible. What we're trying to do is get the rest of our body doing most of the work. Get the big muscle groups, our legs, okay, our shoulders, our upper back. Get those big muscles doing a lot of the big work. Get the small muscles doing a lot of the small work. Next one, it's a restriction of blood flow. So I hear all sorts of stuff, and some of it's from doctors, some of it's from just people that throw a whole heap of big confusing words out there. Again, okay, if you operate any muscle to a high level of fatigue, there will be a rush of blood to that area. There will be a lot of swelling, and what this will mean is that there will be restricted movement in that area, and also a reduction in strength from the fatigue. Okay, so you don't need to go into all the ins and outs of blood flow and compartments and all of that sort of stuff because that's not the problem. The problem is the rest of your body is not doing the work. That's where we want to focus the attention. Next one is, I heard someone say that you want weak forearms. You don't want to do any training, any grip strength work with your forearms. You want to have the weakest forearms you can possibly have, and you want to avoid training your arms at all costs so that they don't pump up. This is strange advice to give someone. Because the reason that it's strange is because when you're doing an enduro race or a motocross race, you're holding onto handlebars. So that would mean riding your bike would make the arm pump worse because you're holding on to the handlebars, which is grip strength training. So if you wanted to have the weakest forearms possible, then our own sport would be making arm pump worse. The more you rode, the worse arm pump would get. But for those of you that do a bit of riding, you would know that the more riding you do, the better your arm pump gets. So I'm not sure what was meant by that type of advice, but I guess the problem is if you have really weak forearms and no grip strength at all, then you're not going to have enough strength to actually hold onto the bike in the first place, which is going to make things hard. So as much as you don't want to make your forearms bigger and, get them super strong and, do like specific grip strength training, you don't want to avoid training them. Like, you don't want to not ride, because if any of you guys have had like 6 months off the bike and you get on the bike, you get pretty horrific arm pump. Not all the time, but majority of the time. So you definitely don't want to make them weaker. You want to have enough strength there still to be able to ride the bike. You don't want to be avoiding hanging on to anything, which again doesn't make sense. The other one's I need surgery. Okay, so this ties into the restriction of blood flow. So what they do in surgery is different muscle groups have compartments over the top, okay, which is like a stocking over the muscle. And so what starts to happen is when we have increased blood flow is that stocking expands, and it gets to a point where it can't expand anymore. Okay, and that's when we have that level of restriction. Surgery in the short, like getting that, what they do in surgery is they cut that stocking, okay, and they let it expand a little bit, or they stretch that stock, they cut it and they let it expand a little bit more. In the short term, that can be helpful, but the problem is, like, our body's pretty smart, okay? We don't need to go, like, chopping it apart. That fascia will start to rebuild itself, okay, and connect itself back together and get tight again. And we see this all the time with arm pump surgery, okay? There's a lot of guys that get arm pump surgery and they're, oh, this is feel good, and then it just gets tight again, because it's like you haven't fixed the real problem. The real problem is your body is not doing 80% of the work, and your arms are doing too much work. That is the actual problem that we're trying to solve here. Okay, not the actual forearms. So, yeah, I hope maybe that answers that. Myth number 9 is that don't lift heavy weights. If you lift heavy weights, you will get arm pump, which again, doesn't make sense. So if lifting heavy weights gives you arm pump, does that mean we shouldn't ride? Does that mean if I didn't ride my motocross bike, which is 100 kilos, if I didn't ride that for 6 months, would that get rid of my arm pump? Okay, chances are probably not. It'll probably make it worse. And the reason it makes it worse is because I'm weaker and I'm not as comfortable on the bike, and I'm probably holding on a lot tighter, okay? And my grip's probably not as strong. So that's counterproductive. On the flip side, how do we fix this? We do want to be lifting heavy weights. And the reason we want to be lifting heavy weights and getting stronger is because we want to get this 80% as strong as we can get it. Because if we can get that stronger, we can hold those positions on the bike longer. And if we can hold those positions on the bike longer and make the 100 kilo bike feel lighter, we're going to use a lot less energy on the bike, and we're going to be hanging on a lot less, because our legs, our hamstrings, our arse, our core, our upper back is going to be doing most of the work. Okay, and that's what we want. Again, we want that 80-20 ratio, okay? And not lifting heavy weights, avoiding getting ourselves stronger, is not going to make things easier on the bike. It's not lifting weights and not getting strong isn't going to make throwing around a 100 kilo bike easier. It's going to make it harder. If we can get ourselves stronger, we make the 100 kilo bike feel lighter. If we can make it feel lighter, we're going to use a lot less energy on the bike and be able to keep that 80-20 ratio much longer. Number 10, okay? This one's one of my personal favorites, is it's genetics and body type, and everyone's different, and some people suffer from arm pump and some people don't because of genetics and different body type, and everyone's different. That's why there's a different solution for everyone. Not true, okay? As much as we're different as humans, we're more the same than we are different. We've got 2 arms, we've got 2 legs, we've got 5 fingers and 5 toes, we've got a tongue, we've got 2 ears, we've got 2 eyes, we've got a mouth, we've got a nose, we've got the same head shape, okay? We've all got shoulders, we've got the same muscles, we've got the same bones, we've got the same digestive systems, okay? We've got the same mouth, if I've already said that, same tongue, same cheeks, okay? Everything is the same. It's not like we're comparing a human with a tiger, with a polar bear, with a koala, with an owl, right? We're not comparing completely different species. We're more the same than we are different. So to say that because there's this tiny little genetic difference that each of us has as human, which is what makes us unique, to say that that is the cause of our arm pump is just ridiculous, because that's not the actual problem. Genetics is not the problem. We've got the same muscles. Every single one of us has the same muscles in our forearms. Okay, we've got the same muscles. We've got the same muscles in our hands. We've got the same fingers. Everything is the same. The ratio, like some of us might have a little bit more muscle, or a little bit less muscle, a little bit stronger, a little bit weaker, or a little bit longer, but they're the same bloody muscles, right? It's the same stuff. So to say that there's that much genetic difference, that some of us get severe arm pump and some of us get none, and that's how you're born, is just crazy to me. Again, it comes down to that 80-20 ratio. So I find for most of these myths, okay, is that they're just things that have just been passed along. Okay, someone's told them that this is the problem and then they've passed that on to someone else and there's really no substance to it. No one's put any thought or even challenge and they're just like, oh, okay. And the thing that really sucks, okay, the thing that breaks my heart is that people will buy into these myths and try and do the right thing, put the effort in to try and get rid of their arm pump, and then be disappointed when they don't get rid of it and they put the work in. And the reason is because they just haven't tackled the right things. Okay. Again, it comes back, a lot of it comes back to that 80-20 ratio. It's like, if I didn't have arm pump at the start, what's changed? What's been different from the start of a moto, from the first 5 minutes or first hour if it's enduro, to the last final minutes or final hours? If I didn't have it at one point and then I have it a lot worse, what's changed over that period of time? Okay, what has changed? And how do we adapt and fix that? So hopefully this video has given you some help and some insight. I know it's a longer one. If you have any questions or there's any myths that I haven't tackled, or if there's something that I've said even that you're like, that doesn't make sense to me, I don't understand, post up in the comments, okay? Don't be shy. I want to help you guys. I want to make sure that you're not wasting your time doing stuff that's not helping you, and make sure that you're putting your time and effort into things that are going to help you with your racing.